Some people have told us here recently that they didn't like onions. And so I told them, somebody I know personally, I said, you've probably had red onions or something very strong.
Right.
And you reacted to those if they were raw, so on and so forth. You get a yellow sweet onion or a Vidalia onion, the sugar in these things is outstanding.
It is.
The flavor profile is so different from anything you could imagine with the red onion. So for those out there who think they don't like onions or think they don't like mushrooms, I think this would be the entry-level dish for you to rediscover
I think you're right.
your taste buds.
Good idea.
Nikki loves, dare I say, really loves mushroom soup.
I do. I like mushroom anything, but mushroom soup's one of my
true.
favorites.
My old buddy Raul, he always said, trust your senses, trust your olfactories. So we came home and I started being the mad scientist.
You did.
So let's start this recipe. You know what, I'm gonna let you do that for me if you will. I'm gonna go ahead and put a little butter in here. So many recipes you have seen us begin with butter and onions. And again, those sweet yellow onions, they add something that's almost indescribable. So that's where we're beginning. I'm gonna take some baby portobello mushrooms. I'm just gonna cut those up into manageable sized pieces. And I'm gonna saute those with the onions. Nick, if you don't mind, would you pop those onions on over here and let them
I will.
let them start to get going?
Do you want all of this or just a little bit? What do you think?
Let's use most of it.
All right.
Now that's half of a very large sweet onion. I was never a big mushroom fan until later in life. And now that I've rediscovered them, I could eat them. I could live on them.
Me too.
We took a walk around the farm today, hoping to find some different mushrooms. And we looked, and that's all we came up with today.
Right at the end.
Right at the end. And these are a type of coral fungus. And you can see why. They really look like
They do.
a piece of coral out of the ocean. We've found a chicken of the wood. We have found a puffball. And Rick, down the road, we've found morels on his place. And on Kelly's place, we found a pheasantback mushroom. All of which we have consumed on the show. So we're gonna get our onions going pretty good here. You know what, let's measure the mushrooms. See how much we have here. There's more there than I thought. How many cups is that measuring? That's 4 cups. This is about 4.5 cups. So one more thing that I'm gonna do here real quick like, is I'm gonna cut me some fennel out of this bulb. Now, tell me what this smells like to you, if you will.
Why can't I say what is that?
A little anise
Yeah,
flavor?
anise. Yeah, that's what it is. It's like licorice.
And it really adds
That's good.
a subtle, interesting flavor to this. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut this up. I'm going to throw this in with the onions. It's not a real obvious flavor that you pick out, but it really does. It's one of these things here, you know, a lot of times you don't want to add too many flavors, but these flavors all together, I just got to say,
It's good.
are not too shabby.
It does smell like it's like licorice.
For those who don't like licorice, you would not mind
No, not
this.
at all.
You would not mind this at all. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this in. Those are browning up. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. I'm going to pop these in. Pop some fennel in here. You know, there are some real mushroom experts out there. I know most of the basic groups, but sometimes I will send some of my stuff. And now this is a private Facebook page, but I think they'd probably let you on if you asked. It's called Official Kentucky Mushrooms.
Oh, really?
And I talked to some guys over there, and I thought this was one thing, and they kind of steered me in the right direction. But one thing about mushrooms, do not assume. We can take that a step further, but we won't.
That's right.
Do not assume on your mushrooms. Know for sure. It's up to you. It's not up to me. I can't look at your mushrooms. If you put them in your body, then you're responsible for what happens. And we know what these are.
I got them at the store.
Baby bellas. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep turning these around until they get a nice little brown. And I want all these flavors to absorb together. I'm going to put a little bit of salt in here. And I usually use kosher salt. I just like the consistency and flavor of it. A little bit of pepper. And I'm going to go ahead at this point, I'm going to put just a little bit of dried thyme in here, just to get that flavor going. The one thing I noticed when we were eating out the other day, when you said, I really like this soup, the one thing that jumps out at you is thyme. And with that earthy flavor, with the sweet onions, something that occurred to me was, I would really like to put some white pepper.
You like white pepper?
That white pepper and thyme together
Oh,
has
yeah.
a very interesting flavor. And as you go along here, if you need a little more butter in here, pop it in. I don't want to go too heavy on the salt or too heavy on the pepper, but pepper really adds. We like pepper in our soup. You know, that reminds me. We haven't seen him for a while, but Glenn, the pepper bandit, you know, he was in pepper prison
Really?
for a long time. Well, he went to the post office. He was trying to send that pure Peruvian pepper,
Really?
which is illegal
Oh, yeah.
to ship.
Yeah.
Remember that camel he had a
I do
while
remember
back?
his camel.
He's still got the camel. He rode over here. He came through around the field. So
You saw him?
Yeah. No. I got him on camera.
Okay.
Look, I'll show you some footage.
Okay.
Here's him coming around the camera, coming around the field, trying to get around the dogs. Snuck through the back door
Really?
when we were up looking for mushrooms and stole our cherry pepper.
You are kidding me.
So I hated to do it, but I called the pepper police.
Did you?
Last time I heard, he was in Paducah peddling pepper.
Really?
On his way to Peoria.
Wow.
Don't know, but I'm just saying.
That's a crazy
You know
story.
how he is. He's out of control. And you know what? I hate to say this, but sometimes he has an accomplice. And the thing is, we've never seen her face, but they have recorded messages. Her name's Patricia, the pepper pusher. That's what they call her.
Really?
Patricia, the pepper pusher.
He has an accomplice then. I didn't
Has an
realize
accomplice,
that. Wow.
yeah. You remember when we first got to know them, we were on the Alaskan cruise, on the Country Kitchen Alaska cruise, and we thought he was so nice, and she was so
Seems
nice.
Sweet. Yeah.
And he is. He's just got a pepper problem.
Yes, he does.
And at this point, I'm going to take a little bit of white wine, and I'm just going to deglaze, and I'm going to just reduce that down because that flavor is really going to come in nice there. And that was probably a tablespoon and a half, maybe 2 tablespoons. And I'm going to let that reduce for just a minute.
That smells good.
That does smell good. All right, we got a really good smell going here. So at this point, I'm going to turn these off. We'll set these, I'll tell you what, we'll just put them back in the measuring cup.
Okay.
Let them cool for just a little bit before we put them into our processor. So let's get that going. So we're going to take equal parts butter, and that's, what is that? A little more than 1/4 of a stick of butter.
Almost a 1/3 stick, I think.
And let's try to put equal parts flour. We're going to make kind of a roux and a thickener for our soup. And I'm going to put in this, because it's a soup, you'll see me doing this a lot, I'm going to take like 1/2 cube of chicken bouillon and put in the stock as well. I'm not going to put a whole lot of salt, but I am going to put some more thyme. Thyme really adds a lot to this. And we're going to come back with our flour. And we're just going to thicken that up. And I'll tell you what, if you'll
What would you like?
go ahead and pour that chicken stock in here. This is going to be a cup. And a cup of heavy cream, or 1/2 and 1/2, whichever you prefer. To your desired thickness. Now, if you wanted to put a little more flour in there, you could do that. So we're going to let that thicken up just a little bit. As we do that, I'm going to go ahead and put my bouillon cube in there, 1/2 of one. I'm going to put some more pepper.
Because we like pepper.
Now, watch your white pepper. Just a couple dashes. It really, really adds something.
Oh,
That
yeah.
in combination with the thyme, I think makes this. Now I'm going to take this. It's like, oh, the smell. You smell that?
Yeah.
Let me get all that in
All the
there.
good stuff.
Then I'm going to puree that. Now you could use a immersion blender, but I don't like wearing it. What do you think?
It looks
Is
yum.
that to your liking?
I think so.
Okay, at this point we're going to add our mushrooms. Man, oh man. Now there was one point in time when I would not consider eating this. And then Miss Nikki came along and said,
Yum.
let's try these mushrooms. Now I can't live without them. All right, so let's mix this in, slowly but surely. Would you mind running out while I'm stirring this to get me some fresh thyme?
I will. I got a little garden
Just a
out there.
couple sprigs.
All right, a couple
and it'll be
sprigs. I will do
perfect.
it.
I would so appreciate it. Then there's one more thing, and I'm telling you, when all these flavors combine, it kind of turns magic. So we recently bought some smoked white cheddar cheese, and it's ended up in a lot of things, but I don't know if it ended up any better in anything than this right here. And just go ahead and grate as much as
You let
That
me
is
know.
you want. We're almost ready. I tell you what, let's do a little more cheese right on top
Okay.
for the final presentation. A little cracked pepper. A couple of mushrooms. A sprig of thyme. And look what we have.
Beautiful.
Look what we have.
The bread needs to come out. Can we do that?
That was good timing. That was
Perfect
really good
timing.
timing.
That's right. And it is perfect.
Yum. Wow, that looks really good. What would Sammy say?
Sammy would say yum papa.
I think he'd say yummy grandma.
Would he? It's always yum papa. What do you mean?
All right, now I want you to try that soup.
Okay.
I want to make sure it's up to your standard. Because I see gooey
Some
cheese on there
cheese.
too. Does it work?
I could eat all that. What are you gonna eat?
You know what? I need a spoon.
You did good.
Now that might seem like a lot of flavors clashing around.
Oh, no, that's
but
good.
let me tell you what, they combined into something
Amazing.
I think it's kind of special.
It's very good.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm happy.
Delish.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. Because we have a break, and we're doing things out of order here. Normally we'd have our salad done, but I wanted to do this while all that was happening. Let's take a break and eat our soup.
Okay.
So we have the energy to make our salad, which we normally made first, but that's another story.
Okay.
Be back in a minute.